Bonjour, hello to everyone and welcome to the Nanomedicine Canada Project Workshop. Bienvenue à notre atelier sur le projet Nanomédecine Canada. I'm Marie Diorio, I'm the president of Nano Canada, and it's my great pleasure this morning to welcome Dr. Samuel Clark from Precision NanoSystems. Precision NanoSystems is our host today. And Dr. Samuel Clark is an expert in the development of nanoparticles for research, diagnostic, and therapeutic applications with more than 15 years of experience in the field. Dr. Samuel is currently the Director of Regents at Precision NanoSystems, where he's responsible for the development of lipid nanoparticle reagents for genetic medicine applications. And previous to joining Precision NanoSystems, he worked for Stem Cell Technologies, where he invented and commercialized magnetic nanoparticle technologies for research and cell therapy applications. So this morning, we'll start the program with a presentation by Dr. Clark. Please go ahead.
Thank you, Marie. Let me just get my slides ready here. Okay, well, great. Yeah, thanks again, Marie, for that intro and also for the opportunity to help kick off this event. I have to say that Canada has an impressive nanomedicine ecosystem, and one of the key goals today is to bring more awareness to the breadth of technology and capabilities. And so what I'd like to do in my brief introduction here is to provide a perspective from my experience working at Precision NanoSystems. This is where I've been working to apply nanoparticle technology to the field of genetic medicine. With this, I'm also going to try to highlight some areas where Precision has benefited from support in the Canadian ecosystem, which will hopefully help to stimulate some discussion later today around collaboration, funding, and talent. And so let me start with Precision NanoSystems today. Precision is the only company providing end-to-end technology for genomic medicine development. Our company was founded in 2010 as a spin-out of UBC. The scientific co-founders include Peter Cullis and Carl Hansen, of course, both highly successful biotech entrepreneurs. Precision Nano was acquired by the Danaher Life Sciences platform last year. The Danaher Life Sciences platform includes the companies on the screen here: Cytiva, which is formerly GE Healthcare, PAL, IDT, Aldevron, and others. So our company has grown to over 200 employees. The majority have advanced degrees and the majority are in Vancouver. We have, over the years, built a strong patent portfolio with more than 125 patents granted or pending. And our customers have published on our technology in more than 200 scientific journals. Our facilities and headquarters are in Vancouver. The images on the screen here show these buildings. On the bottom is our new GMP biomanufacturing center, which is under construction in Vancouver. It will be operational next year. And so at Precision, we really strongly believe that genomic medicines are the future of medicine. These genomic medicines using nucleic acids allow for treatment of disease at the fundamental level. So some examples include single interfering RNA. This allows you to turn off genes and turn off the production of disease-causing proteins. There's messenger RNA or DNA that allow you to express genes and turn on the production of therapeutic proteins. There are also gene editing technologies like CRISPR that allow you to permanently modify the genome. And so the applications of these nucleic acids in medicine are wide, ranging from vaccines, as we've seen with COVID-19, to rare disease, as well as oncology and cancer. But genomic medicines are more than the nucleic acid. Their RNA and DNA are large charged molecules. They require delivery technologies to get into the right tissues and cells. And so nanoparticles help solve this delivery challenge. Nanoparticles encapsulate the nucleic acid and protect it from degradation. They allow for delivery of that nucleic acid into the cell cytoplasm. And as well, nanoparticles are manufacturable and chemically defined. They're also approved now in drugs, and specific examples include the lipid nanoparticles in the approved RNA vaccines for COVID from Pfizer and Moderna. And so the thing with genomic medicines is the potential is huge, but developing these medicines is hard to do. And so at Precision Nanosystems, we've developed technology and tools and platforms to allow drug developers to accelerate the development of these new types of drugs. And so we've developed 3 key technology platforms that are summarized on the slide here. We have a genetic payload platform. This is a platform technology based on self-amplifying RNA, which allows the expression of specific proteins. This would include antigens used in RNA vaccines against COVID-19. Our second platform is our Genvoy delivery platform. These are lipid nanoparticles derived from a proprietary lipid library and designed for specific applications in vaccines, in gene therapies and gene editing, as well as cell therapies. Finally, we have our nanoassembler manufacturing platform. This is a microfluidic-based mixing technology that allows for precise production of nanoparticle-based drug products. This manufacturing technology allows from production from microliter lab scales all the way to GMP scale for commercial drugs. So collectively, with our genetic medicine platforms here, we strive to provide clients with a complete solution for developing a genomic medicine. They can essentially come to us with a disease target in mind, and we can offer a significant amount of technology as a solution to help them quickly develop their drug of interest. This slide highlights how we've taken this technology and commercialized it into products. And so, as I mentioned, we have the nanoassembler manufacturing platform. These images provide a little bit of a view to what these instruments look like at our discovery scale for small scale production of nanoparticles, all the way up to the GMP scale, where these systems are designed to produce tens of liters of drug product. The Genvoy delivery technology and Genvoy reagents are commercial products. We sell these as research use only reagent kits into the preclinical market. We also offer this to clients for clinical use with clinical licensing conditions. Finally, we have built up large contract services teams that take our technology and do contract drug development work for our clients. So essentially, we can develop a client's drug for them or take on a considerable amount of that work. And so this is my last slide here, and what I wanted to use this for was to really talk about the journey that we've had at Precision Nanosystems since 2010, within this journey, we've had a lot of support from the Canadian ecosystem along the way. And so this slide shows some of the key product and technology highlights over the last 10 years, as well as some of the key commercial highlights. But what I would like to focus on here is a few comments around the different phases of the company growth. So in the first phase, from 2010 to about 2017, this was when Precision was a startup company and where P&I developed the first nanoassembler manufacturing instrument. It was called the benchtop system. This early technology development and proof of concept was supported by funding from Canada, from groups like Genome BC, from the NRC IRAP programs. We used funding support from my tax programs as well in these early days to help to start to build the company and its products. I joined Precision Nanosystems in about 2017 at the start of the second phase of growth here. And so in the second phase, our focus was expanding the technology platforms, going beyond the manufacturing technology, adding the Genvoy delivery technology, adding the payload and RNA platform technology, as well as increasing our clinical capabilities. And so to support this second phase, we secured significant non-dilutive grant funding in Canada. And this included over $2 million in funding support from NRC IRAP to develop the core platform technologies. The majority of the projects that I've been responsible for over the last number of years have been IRAP supported. We received funding from the Western Economic Diversification Program, specifically a program called WIN that helped to develop our GMP instruments. And then more recently, over the last 2 years, we've received close to $50 million in funding and loans from Canada's Strategic Innovation Fund, these specifically to develop an RNA vaccine for COVID-19 in Canada for Canada, and as well to build the GMP manufacturing center in Vancouver. So this funding from within the Canadian ecosystem, tremendously important to helping to grow precision and our product portfolio and our business. The final aspect that I think was very important to supporting this growth was accessing strong talent in Vancouver and Canada. And so over the last number of years, we've made strong connections into the local universities. For example, I've been an industry advisor in several undergraduate and graduate programs at the University of Victoria, as well as the University of British Columbia. We've also built a large co-op internship program where we host students for around 8 months. And I have to say these students accomplish amazing work, and we often hire them back after graduation. And so for example, I have 5 interns on my team today. We probably have about 15 to 20 across the company at this time. And so there are numerous Canadian subsidy programs that help to cover the salary costs for these students. And so those are a few examples of over the history of the company here, where we've really benefited from the Canadian ecosystem and all the support around us. So I think I'll finish here and hopefully been able to show how P&I has grown and succeeded in Canada and provide some ideas for maybe companies that are at an earlier phase of growth. So with that, thank you, and I'll pass things back to Marie to introduce the full event for today. I'm really looking forward to the rest of the discussion.
Thank you very much, Sam, for that introduction to Precision Nanosystems. And so I'd like to take a few minutes, and you have the agenda before you, to give an introduction to Nanomedicine Canada and how that came to pass. And then my colleague will talk about the Deep Tech Network, and we'll carry on with the program. So what is Nanomedicine Canada? Well, Nano Canada, as a not-for-profit organization, was funded a year ago by the Next Generation Manufacturing Supercluster to establish or to build a nanomedicine cluster in Canada. And so, you know what, we of course needed the wisdom of people in the community. And in the next slide, you'll see we've benefited from a great steering committee with members from the private sector, from academia, and from government. And so you have them here: Stéphane Gagné, who's here today, Rhonda Gosselin from IRAP, Danina Kapitanovic, Sushanta Mitra, who will speak later, Nuzat Tamzaman, Diana Royce, who is the executive director of NMIN, and Susie Regal from Analysis Corporation. And so they've guided us through this process. And the next slide basically gives you an idea of, what's the vision? The vision is really, we are connectors, and we wanted to seeing the impact of nanomedicine during the pandemic. We really wanted to connect the community in nanomedicine to the larger community in nanotechnology and advanced materials. And we want to make sure that the Canadian ecosystem is well connected across the country with the various communities as we look to greater convergence of disciplines and the the increased importance of deep tech in Canada. So the next slide just gives you an idea of, what are the benefits of being a member of Nanomedicine Canada? Well, first of all, I will say being a member of Nanomedicine Canada is free. And you can, it gives you, you're prominently featured on the Deep Tech Network. It's a digital networking database of global expertise, capabilities, and facilities. And Janice Workington will talk about that in a moment. But as I said, we are connectors and we facilitate introductions to researchers, companies, organizations, and investors as much as we can. And we also organize events like this one, for example, but we also are going to have our first international conference this summer, and that's another opportunity for members to engage with the community. And of course, you'll see if you're a member, you'll have your URL and logo on the Nanomedicine Canada website. So membership is free until the March 31st, 2023. So, so please, if you're not a member, please join us. We'd be delighted. And now, if we look at the next slide, Janice will take over and talk about the tool that's been developed during the last year, the Deep Tech Network. Janice.
Perfect, thanks. So we're pleased to share our new tool that we've developed. If you go to the next slide, please, Isabel. When Nanomedicine Canada started off, we wanted to find a way to easily facilitate collaborations, matches for partners, for funding programs, for everything that we do on the side to connect our members. So that was the vision for this matchmaking tool that we put together. And we're starting with the Nanomedicine Canada community, bringing together biotech, advanced materials, nanotechnology, organizations, government agencies, everybody together to use this tool and find easy ways to connect and to collaborate. And go to the next slide. You can join now. It's deeptechnetwork.ca. It's free to use. You just create an account. It's very simple. You put in your name and basic details. You check off what you have, what you're working on. And then the next category, you check off what you're looking for. And there's a list of keywords that you can select. You register to join. Once you're approved, you can log in and see your matches. So it's really simple tool, really easy to use. It's brand new. And so we're hoping you could please share it with your colleagues and your networks to get a lot of users in there. And so that's where the strength in the network will be, by many users and many matches. And the nice thing is that Nano Canada members and Nanomedicine members get that little logo that you see there that featured to the top of the match screen. So hopefully this will be a great way to showcase our network and our community. So once you log in to your account, this is what you'll see, your matches. And once you click a match, you can find out a little bit more information and reach out directly to your contact there. So we plan to grow it. We plan to use the innovative ways and add new keywords. So please create an account, log in. If you have keyword ideas or suggestions, you can reach out to us and let us know. But we're happy to share that. And if you can share it with your colleagues, your networks, that would be fantastic. And so on that note, we will go next to our Nanomedicine Canada member presentations and pitches. And so what's going to happen next is you see these 10 organizations in front of us. Each will give a 4-minute presentation about sort of what we're looking for here, what they have, what they're looking for, and what they're looking for collaboration opportunities. And at the end of this, we will have a panel discussion with everybody. And so I look forward to these presentations. And just a reminder to everybody speaking, I'll come on in about 3 minutes and 30 seconds as a reminder to wrap up. And I'll hand it over to you, Arun, from Entos.
Can everyone hear me?
Yes.
Yeah. Hello, everyone. And my name is Arun Raturi, and I'm Chief Science Officer of Entos Pharmaceuticals. Entos Pharmaceutical is a clinical stage nucleic acid delivery company. The company was founded by John Lewis, professor of oncology at University of Alberta. And our technology is, our delivery system, our technology is called fusiogenics technology, or fusiogenics proteolipid vesicle based technology. This technology, I mean, we saw Sam Clark mentioned about lipid nanoparticle. We all know about lipid nanoparticle. Our technology is quite different from lipid nanoparticle. But before that, I would spend 30 seconds in what is lipid nanoparticle based technology, although I'm pretty sure that everybody knows in today's world that what is lipid nanoparticle based technology. Because of Pfizer and Moderna, basically the technology uses ionizable lipid in principle to encapsulate nucleic acid like mRNA, siRNA, DNA, in case of this vaccine, mRNA, and deliver it across the membrane. This is a very successful technology. We all know that, almost the whole world got vaccinated by Moderna and Pfizer using this technology, and it's very successful technology for delivering mRNA. But very early on, we realized one thing, that especially if you are looking at DNA delivery at higher doses, ionizable lipid-based delivery system causes issues in tolerability. And that's where our technology comes in. Our technology is not known as proteolipid vesicle-based technology for a reason that we use protein, peptide, virus-based peptide for the delivery of the cargo across the membrane and not ionizable lipid. The peptide, the protein which we use and we call fusionic peptide, is again a discovery from another highly successful virologist from University of Dalhousie, Roy Duncan, who showed in series of paper in 2000 that this protein, virus-derived protein, can be used for delivering the cargo across the membrane by the mechanism of fusing with the membrane. So we actively started. John established this company. Roy was a founding member. Again, very proud of the fact that founding members are of Canadian origin. The company is of Canadian origin. And we started actively working on this product in 2015, 2016, and basically showed that irrespective of the cargo, whether it is siRNA, DNA, and mRNA, we can actually very successfully deliver the cargo to different parts of organs and tissues with absolutely zero tolerability issue. Very proud to say that we are a clinical company now for vaccine, and very soon we will be going into clinic with our oncology programs. Now, one thing we realized right from the beginning, that it's one thing to have a proof of concept to show in the lab that the product is working, and completely different to make it clinically and commercially viable. We understood the need of things in place that can take a product from lab to the clinic. And that's one of the reasons that we very early on actually associated ourselves, collaborated with PNI, which has this amazing system, microfluidic based system for encapsulating nucleic acid. I'm again proud to say that we are one of the early people who actually use this technology to deliver nucleic acid. We have started from 250 microliter with the PNI machine, and now we work in liter. Very proud of this connection, and I cannot emphasize more that to make a product viable, a very important part of it is the right kind of collaboration, which would take you from lab to the clinic. Thank you.
Great, thank you, Arun. Stefan from Uvensa, you're up.
Excellent, thank you, Janice. So hi everyone, I'm Stefan Gagné, and I'm the CEO of Uvensa. We work with pharmaceutical companies looking to deliver their drug payloads across mucosal barriers, but more specifically to the brain. And with the popularity of lipid nanoparticles that we just heard for the mRNA vaccines, there are a great number of pharma and biotech companies that are now paying more attention to nanoparticles and how to use them for the delivery of RNA therapeutics. So the purpose of my short intro today is to identify partners that might have complementary technologies that would permit the development of novel delivery vehicles targeting more specifically certain cell types or cancer cells, since there are still significant unmet needs for targeted drug delivery. Our main asset is a patented biopolymer that we call the Triozan, and it has cationic charges that we can tune for adherence of a therapeutic to the mucosa for opening the tight junctions and cross either the skin, the intestinal barrier, or the blood-brain barrier. The benefit is that we can functionalize the biopolymer with ligands on its surface that would be specific to certain tissues or cell types for targeted drug delivery. And most of our work with pharma companies is for the intranasal delivery of siRNA or mRNA to the brain, but we can also work with other types of cargos or routes of administration. So if you have proprietary lipids or polymers for making nanoparticles, or if you have antibodies, peptides, or when we should talk, aptamers, proprietary technologies for cell targeting, specific cell lineages, please contact me via the platform that was just introduced by Janice, and we'll see how we can potentially be able to work together. I'll leave you with a few examples of what we've done with our platforms. This shows the intranasal administration of an antibody that, if given alone, which is right here on the left, you see that it's cleared quite rapidly in the olfactory bulbus. But if formulated with the Triozan for making nanoparticles, there's a much greater accumulation in the intranasal cavity, and also it lasts longer, which translates into the accumulation in the brain, whereas the antibody alone is not able to make it. We also have two Bradycanin receptor agonists that we use with Triozan, either conjugated or not, depending on the disease and if there's pre-existing inflammation on the BBB. Generally, those B1R and B2R agonists are further potentiating the delivery and more favorably to the brain and surrounding tissues. And in this example, we've seen that we've been able to increase the delivery of cisplatinum in the tumor and the brain adjacent tissue by a factor of 6 to 8. So again, for mucosal or brain delivery, I'm open to work with you if you have complementary assets or if you're interested in having Uvensa solving your delivery issues. Thank you.
Thank you, Stefan. Next, we'll move to Tam from Sinovita.
Okay, so I have to go. Can you see the slide now? Oops.
Not yet.
Okay. I think it's up.
There we go.
Okay. Good morning, everyone. I think that I'm the first company that doesn't have a delivery system, and in actual fact, that I'm looking to work with somebody who are experts in designing a delivery system. Our company, what I would like to show today is to share with you what our company is and what are we working on. And basically, we are working on developing combination drug therapies derived from cannabis and for the treatment of cancers. Myself is Yun Tam, and my wife founded the company Sinovita in 2006. And Nusat is a steering committee member in Nano Canada. And so we are a drug discovery company and focusing on small molecules. We have a patented pharmaceutical platform technology. And the idea is that instead of trying to develop one single molecule, we are looking at a combination of bioactives and that are responsible for the efficacy of the medicine. And in 2018, we started working on data-driven and incorporating AI into our platform technology. Now, this process has dramatically shortened the discovery process. The end products that we have is a combination of compounds, and which is what we call a recipe as drug candidates. And these compounds have defined ratios, which is patentable. And the candidates, we like to think that it has a much higher chance of success in terms of small molecule because of its history of use and the safety and efficacy. In 2020, we started working on oncology, focusing on cannabis. And within 24 months of using this new and improved technology, we have developed 2 small pipelines for treating liver and colon cancer. And we have also mapped out the mechanism of actions in terms of the genes and proteins that are altered in the cancers. And on the top of it, we also have the capability of predicting what the pharmacokinetic properties are. And the challenge, of course, is, now that we have good candidates, how are we going to deliver them before we move into the clinic? Now we are in the process of raising funds to develop the IND. Now, I would like to share with you why we are so excited about our candidates. And this is a slide showing on a liver cancer cell line. And basically, the 4 candidates we have efficacy anywhere from 2 to 15 times more effective than sorafenib and regorafenib. Those are the first and second line of chemotherapeutic agents. Now, although we are excited about the candidates we have, and we also face formulation issues, and particularly we found out some of the cannabinoids are extremely sticky. If not formulated properly, it's very difficult to find to characterize the IC50 values. Now in our lab, we as amateurs, and we try to formulate it, and we got it. And however, that before we move into the clinic, we have to work with somebody to develop a delivery system for animals and as well as human. So I hope that I could make some connections today, and we'll take it from there.
Thank you so much, Tam. Next, we will move on to Monique from Zentek. Monique, are you there?
Okay, can you see my screen?
Yes, we see you. Let's see if we can. There we go. Yep, you're good to go.
Okay, thank you. My name is Monique, and I'm representing Zentek today. We are a Canadian IP development and commercialization company. We're primarily focused on next generation healthcare and sustainable solutions. And through our partnerships with 10 universities and approximately 120 Canadian researchers and numerous other partners, we've developed a significant IP pipeline focused on health and sustainability. We help research groups bring nanotechnology breakthroughs into the marketplace. And today, I'd like to focus on a product that we've commercialized and the possible multiple applications this compound has in the healthcare space. So our first commercial product is an antimicrobial graphene oxide silver compound, Zenguard. And Zenguard is applied to one layer in a 4-ply mask. It is capable of deactivating COVID-19 and killing other pathogens. It has a 99.99% bacterial filtration efficiency and viral filtration efficiency ratings. And it helps to protect frontline workers and the public and helps to reduce the spread of pathogens. We have been Health Canada authorized. We went through a review process that included extensive evaluation of data related to shedding, inhalation safety, skin irritation, pathogen deactivation, both bacterial and viral filtration efficiency. And as a result, Health Canada has validated that Zenguard is safe, masks are safe. We did our virucidal testing at Western University's Impact Biosafety Level 3 lab. And it required very little amount of Zenguard to deactivate SARS-CoV-2. So we continued our testing at Mount Sinai Hospital to determine the minimum inhibitory concentration of our compound against several bacteria. And testing revealed that there was a low minimum inhibitory concentration to achieve the 99.9% effectiveness. against both gram-positive and gram-negative bacteria, including antimicrobial resistant organisms. We're carried on and we did some safety work, and the cytotoxicity testing results showed no adverse effects on lab animals after 7 days of repeated dosing at several thousand times higher than the MIC. And we believe this is a broad spectrum therapeutic and has the potential to be a game changer in a disease treatment platform. And so we are initially focused on dermal applications, and anecdotal, so far we've seen our compound may be able to treat dermal indications, including psoriasis, acne, and seborrheic dermatitis. And in oncology, previous research has demonstrated that graphene oxide silver compounds, composites may have promise for treatment. And Zentek is currently performing preliminary tests on the efficacy of its compound against cancer targets in a study designed by representatives from both BC Cancer and Children's Hospital of Eastern Ontario. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Monique. We'll move on next to Arash from Ufluidics. Monique, if you could stop sharing there, that would be great. Arash.
Have I stopped sharing?
Yes, you're good.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Perfect. We can see your screen.
Hi, I'm Arash Sofla, CEO of Ufluidics. Ufluidics is a custom manufacturer of microfluidics. We are in Toronto, started 11 years ago, been cash flow positive and growing since start. Our clients are mainly the international pharma and medical device companies who send their microfluidic design to us, and we manufacture for them. This device, look like something like this. This is a big one. So what is microfluidics? Sam also mentioned that they have a platform. Is basically a technology that allows to get use of tiny amount of liquid in a reproducible, controlled, and precise manner. There are many applications for microfluidics, like diagnostics, organ and tissue engineering, stem cell, and a lot more. One of the important applications, I would say a recent application, is in nanomedicine. How microfluidics helps in nanomedicine is mainly through two ways. One, to manufacture nanomedicine. Again, the other one is to carry it, to deliver it. So just for people who are not familiar with this, just imagine there is a jar of suspension of different things like cells, RNA, protein, drugs, DNA, and you want to split this to very small amounts to precise ratios and uniform size. The conventional methods of bulk manufacturing is not very suitable, while in microfluidics, all these compounds can come from different channels and get mixed together and be uniformly dispersed to small packages such as lipids, liposomes, or even polymer microparticles, and being collected and delivered. We have been helping, working with international companies, and we have tremendous experience in microfluidics, manufacturing, and stuff like that. And so, but we would like to also work more with Canadian companies and see if we can help them to enter this very competitive and new market, and just make some collaborations.
Great, thank you so much. And next we'll move on to Sushanta. Go ahead, Sushanta.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. This is Sushanta Mitra. I'll talk about the scalable liquid encapsulation SLE technology. So if you look at currently the encapsulation where you want to encapsulate your valuable code API and others into a protective shell layer, the current system that are used, particularly soft gel encapsulation machines, are quite complex. Number of rollers where you first put a gelatin in a shell layer that goes through a number of these rollers, and in between then you drop in the core material of the API, then they form the encapsulated product. So it's a very slow throughput, a limited number of core shell combinations that can be used in the current machines, and they're very expensive in terms of maintenance. Think about these kind of complex roller, their pitch and so forth. It's a pretty difficult engineering system. So our technology is game-changing for the pharmaceutical nutraceutical sector because we use something called the impact-driven encapsulation process. So, for example, we put a drop core API or a drop in on top of a facial layer, and then the facial layer through the surface energy mechanism is able to wrap it quite nicely. We have these videos which shows very fast encapsulation process as well. These are slow moving frame video, but anywhere our encapsulation is in the millisecond range. And here you can see these are yellow encapsulated products. At the same time, you can recover those through appropriate curing mechanism. In terms of the technology, we really outperforms compared to the existing technology, be it companies who make these machines as well as microfluidic-based systems. We are, our high throughput is more than million per encapsulations per hour, and at least 15 times more flexible in terms of core shell combination. And this is another example what we are working on in terms of drug delivery application, where we can encapsulate targeted nanoparticles with biocompatible shell materials that can be released in terms of different pH concentrations. So we are very excited and look forward to partnership within Canada. We set up also Dutch BV for this technology in Eindhoven as well. Thank you for this opportunity.
Thank you, Sushanta. And next we'll move on to Lana from Nanobrand. Welcome, Lana.
Thank you, Jadi. Please let me know when you can see my logo.
Yes, you're good to go.
Thank you very much. Good morning. I will present Nanobrand. We are situated in Montreal. We produce biocompatible nanoparticles for life sciences based on the principles of green chemistry. We manufacture gold and silver nanoparticles exclusively. Our company offers nano research services to create and optimize the nanoparticles with programmed properties for specific applications according to our customers' demands. As soon as research is completed, we become a manufacturer of these customized nanoparticles, as we have the capacities for large-scale production. Our research is supported by nanocharacterization, which includes all types of measurements normally required for nanomaterials. Most applications of nanosilver are related to its antimicrobial properties. This slide illustrates the projects where our silver nanoparticles were used, also including those relevant to nanomedicine. Applied to textiles, our nanoparticles provided with excellent antimicrobial and antiviral properties. This application became very actual due to the pandemic situation, as well as creation of efficient disinfectants with special advantage of silver, providing long-lasting protection. Topical application of nanosilver helps accelerating healing of wounds by promoting tissue regeneration. And in dentistry, silver nanoparticles are used to prevent formation of bacterial biofilms and to arrest caries. In the world of nanoboard, one of the most important applications is biosensing, or detection of different substances of interest, such as antigens, drugs, toxins, viruses, and others, using quick tests. To assure the best performance of these tests, our nanoparticles have an ultra-high monodispersity and uniform coating of the surface. In nanomedicine, gold nanoparticles are traditionally used for drug and gene delivery and silencing, photothermal therapy, imaging, and even for development of vaccines. We are offering the nanoparticles with the increased surface area, such as nanoflowers and nanostars, for the applications where high surface loading and high electromagnetic enhancement is required. Nanomedicine is one of the most exciting fields for us, as we believe that nanotechnologies will induce immense changes by increasing the efficiency and reducing the side effects of drugs and treatments. We are looking for partners and will be happy to offer our experience in nanosynthesis. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Lana. Next, we move on to Michelle.
Sorry, I put my screen one.
We see, yeah, there you go.
Okay, thank you for the invitation, and thank you for the person just that spoke. I think this is a real follow-up about what she was talking about. My name is Michel Meunier. I'm a professor of engineering physics for 30 years or more. I am the head of the biomedical nanophotonics laboratory, where we have 15 members and $5 million in infrastructure, where we develop nanotherapy and nanodiagnostics and therapnostics application using nanophotonics, and also co-founder of Vega Bioimaging, that we want to revolutionize the pathology application by using these nanotechnology to do quantitative and multiplexing biopsy. So basically, I have a few pictures here where we have a pattern of synthesis, the synthesis of gold silver alloy nanoparticle with very fine nano distribution. And with that, we are able to develop various types of projects. One is porous nanoparticles for drug loading and drug detection using SIRS, and also to use these nanoparticles that we can use to do bacterial detection, as well as a biosensor that we are developing in the lab. And also that we are developing optical systems specialized to visualize nanoparticles of various colors and using in this type of side illumination, and also what you see here are gold nanoparticles on cancer cells that we are developing for pathology application. One project that I think it's pretty interesting, and that relates to the first presentation by Precision Nanosystem, is to do the drug delivery and gene delivery, but in this case to do light trigger release. And this is one of the projects I'm working also right now with Peter Cullis, that the person that was mentioned before, one of the well-known scientists in Canada. One part of this project here is we have a patent of the delivering genes directly into the eye using the light. This is a non-viral gold nanoparticle laser mediated gene release, and we do in vivo animal study right now. But also that we use lipid nanoparticle that includes little gold in it, so that we can, upon the irradiation, do a drug release that is concentrated where the beam is. And so that really, we show in vitro that there is a real increase in terms of the efficiency of this approach. So we are pursuing that with quite a big project in the frame of NMIN, actually. Vega Bioimaging is the startup company that we co-founded with Cécile Darvieux and Sergei Patskovsky in my research group. So we're using the patent of gold-silver alloys in our specialized optical setup. We are expert in optical setup for nanophotonics. And then we look at the various colors of these nanoparticles. And the idea is with that instead of doing immunofluorescence, where you look at colors, you look at the number of nanoparticles with different colors. So we can do quantitative and also multiplexing labeling for cancer. So there is a real need for that in the development of numerical pathology that is now being developing all over the world, and our company is developing this. This is my last slide, Jan. So many collaborations that we have with university, with industries and funding agencies. Of course, I'd like to mention NMIN, which is pretty important in terms of nanomedicine innovation. I'm looking for collaboration, and but what I'm hearing, I think there is quite interest for various types for other companies that just spoke, maybe Nanobrand or maybe also Precision Nanosystems. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you so much. All right. If you can stop sharing, we can move on. Perfect. Thank you to Gord from Cmc Microsystems. Welcome, Gord.
Thank you. There we are. All good?
Good, good.
Whoops, okay. That's odd. I will beautiful. All right. So I'll just introduce Cmc Microsystems. We're actually a not-for-profit, about 37 years old, and we manage Canada's National Design Network. We try to provide infrastructure in 3 areas: CAD, computer-aided design software, fabrication of devices, and lab services, typically testing and characterizing. So we work in the areas of microelectronics, photonics, MEMS, nanofab, and quantum technology. We developed some technology platforms which we roll out. There on the right, you can see some tiny motes, about 1 inch on a side. And they contain accelerometers, temperature sensors, and in one case, we're developing this for measuring rodents' brain chemistry. So we'll have a backpack on a rat. We'll be able to measure vancomycin, penicillin, different anesthetics, and so on in the brain, using a couple of different metal electrodes, and then actually measure the movement of the rat using an inertial measurement unit on its back, all battery powered and wireless, so it's untethered. We also have been working on the same device, incorporating into a portable COVID sensor for doing atmospheric COVID detecting, and as an industrial monitor. So that's one application. We have another platform which sorry, has a very cheap, very simple silicon transistor, and it's topped by a functional material. So in the early stages, it was topped with quantum dots for detecting infrared radiation. But it can be used with nanomaterials, with bacteriophages, with graphene sheets, solutes, filters, pretty much anything. And the beauty of it is, without having to get the fluorescent particles and cameras and counting all of that kind of stuff, you can get a direct electrical signal based on the number of charges trapped in the functional material, and it can be refreshed and redone. So up there, on the left of those 2 square boxes is a microfluidic version of this, and we have a microfluidic package we developed at the Australian National Fab Facility. On the right is an array of sensors that you can use for gases or radiation. And one of the applications has been placing down graphene to sense pH and insulin on one of these devices. So this was a MyTech student we funded, and we've actually have the recipes. So the devices are available for sale, and the recipes we're developing more and more as time goes on to create those functional materials. And that, of course, is the end, because I was only allowed 4 slides.
Gold star for following instructions. Nice. Thank you, everybody. Thank you. So that wraps up our pitches from our panelists today. If everybody could go back on camera on, we can welcome the next portion of the program, which is the panel discussion led by Marie. And then if anybody, encourage everybody to use the Q&A in the chat below, ask your questions, and we'll help facilitate those conversations as well. Our panelists, if there is a lineup to speak, you can just pop up your hand, otherwise just jump in, but happy to facilitate that as well. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you. Those were fascinating. I think we couldn't have had a better example of how collaboration is so important and can make your life easier, but also enriches our ecosystem. And so, you know, I think what's wonderful here is that we have different players in the ecosystem at different stages of development, and I'm really interested by scale up. So, you know, what are the barriers that you might be facing in scaling up the technologies that you have, and for some cases you might have already scaled up and perhaps could share your wisdom, but it's interesting to understand what are the pain points in growing your company. Anyone want to address that?
Stop me from getting my camera.
Janice, can you put my, I cannot put myself on the camera.
Yeah.
Yun, you have your hand up?
Yeah, there you go. Yes, and I couldn't get my video on. Now I can. Thank you.
Okay, Yun, did you have a comment about scale up and growth?
Well, I know for us, it's a fundamental understanding of our product. That's what's enabled us to be able to scale up. And I think before we understood in detail how our compound was functioning, I don't think it was quite possible to consider scale up. So that was one definite, not a barrier, but just an understanding of.
Yeah, so it's a building process, basically, right?
Yeah, yes.
Yeah.
Stefan, you had a comment?
Yeah, and I'll probably do a little bit of advertising for Sam with Precision Nanosystems. But one of the things that we looked at is how do you scale the material first before you can scale the nanoparticles? And if you're looking at, and obviously the goal is to commercialize, if you look at the different steps in this development process, you want to make sure that you have the product in mind. So that you can go back and see what are those different steps that you need to take. So not only on the material, but also is that product scalable in a linear fashion. So when we looked at different technologies, and that's why we've decided also to work with Sam and the team at PNI with the nano assemblers, that the technology was allowing us to scale in a very linear fashion for the technology. So working with and I was very happy to hear the other pitches today. This is something that we don't do enough in Canada, is to connect, and that's the purpose of Nano Canada and Nanomedicine Canada, also through the platform, is to be able to connect and see what other solutions others have. So I don't know, Sam, you probably have something on the scalability because you're very familiar with that. But for us, that was a game changer, reassuring the investors, reassuring also the industry. When you work with a pharmaceutical company, one of the first questions is, how are you able to scale up?
Sam?
Yeah, thanks, Stefan. And maybe I can add to that. I think absolutely the need to be able to scale from the technology perspective is a requirement, right? You have to think with that end in mind of getting, in the case of developing drugs, of getting to the clinic. But then I think an additional area in our experience at Precision of where you need to scale is on the business side. And so it's been over the last 5 years or so where as a company, we've had to add completely new functions in terms of our teams. So examples like a quality team, process development teams, larger operational teams, and currently building GMP facilities, for example. So it's really has been a huge endeavor to also scale out the business side of things.
Thank you. Arash.
Yeah, so not sure question is about the scaling of business or the product. I mean, we have experience in both, but if you're talking about the product, we need to make sure at the early stage on that our processes are scalable. I mean, we use a lot the word scalable, but we see so much trouble for many of clients that, in the prototype stage, they make a system, a process that, let's say, spend 1 unit of resources to make it. But if now you need 10 units of resources to make 10 products, this is not scalable, in my opinion. So we need to have the process scalable. So just give another example. Let's say I make one burger in 5 minutes. It pretty much takes me 50 minutes to make 10 burgers. So this is not scalable. While if I'm making chili, I have a pot of making chili. I just add water, beans, and that you make like hundreds of units, but with not much time spent. That's what I consider to be scalable. It's very difficult to see early on because we are so much, thinking about just make it work. But then later on, that's where most of our clients fail, I've seen.
Thank you. Arun, you had a comment.
Yes, actually, and I would also start with a little bit of advertising of PNI, and then would actually change the gear and challenge them also. So one thing we have seen is, and I'm very proud of that. I know PNI's machine right from the beginning. We were one of the first buyers of their machine, and scalability is a very kind of a relative term. For example, we were working at 250 microliter 1 ml scale at that time. Then we were very happy with 10 ml scales, 20 ml scale, depending upon the indications. And then COVID hit, right? And it has changed everything when it comes to comparing the scalability. Now we are talking about PNI GMP compliant machine, where actually I can make 25 liter easily in 6 to 8 hours. And if I convert it into doses, I'm almost touching 500,000 doses per day. But is it enough? No. I mean, it all depends upon the indications you're talking about. And for vaccine, 5 years back, if somebody says that, Arun, you can make 500,000 doses per day, this is amazing. And I would have said, wow, that is amazing. And today I'm looking at it and I'm saying that, no, it's not enough. I need 5 million doses, 7 million doses because it's vaccine. And that's where the challenge comes for PNI. But one thing I have, like working with Tim and all the members of PNI, is like how you improvise and how fast you move from liters to like hundreds of liters. And that's where the challenge comes in. So I don't think the job is done for companies like PNI. It's next level of challenge. And I'm really keen and looking forward to your next generation machines. But as far as the progress is concerned, as far as where we were at as a proteolipid vesicle company or other lipid nanoparticle companies, I think we are not done. It's an ongoing process. Scalability, as I said, is a relative term. I was very happy 4 years before with liters, and now I'm asking for hundreds and hundreds of liters. And with the GMP compliance, with the strict regulations, with the precision in the product, it's a challenging job, but I think we are in the right direction. So that's what I would end at that. PNI has done a very good job. We use the machine, but I'm sorry to say, Sam, you're not done yet. So a lot is expected.
Thank you, Aaron. I would just agree that the challenge is not solved yet. In fact, we're probably just getting started in terms of the genomic medicine era. And the fact is these different medicines have hugely different requirements in terms of manufacturing scale and other factors. So at Precision, we are continuing to invest big in developing our products and technology, for the future.
You had a comment.
Actually, I'm fascinated about the delivery system for vaccines and large molecules and everything. And with our company, we're looking for delivering small molecules. And it's not one single compound. We're trying to deliver a small number of compounds, like 3 of them. And our target, in our case, for the liver cancer candidate is towards the liver specifically. So targeting a liver cancer. So I would like to ask the panel here and see whether you have technologies that would be able to help us to deliver these candidates. Now, knowing the pharmacokinetic properties and the way that these compounds are working together, we also have to make sure that they are released in a constant rate to optimize their efficacy. So I'd like to hear your opinion.
Arash.
You know, I'm sure you have heard about microfluidics. So I see that can have applications. I'm sure that you have looked into.
Okay.
Like there are, there are many designs that can, controlled manner bring different reagents and encapsulate it and polymerize it and all sorts of stuff.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So I have a question related to materials, and that is, at least in the inorganic materials world, and I'm sure Gordon will agree, for a new material might take a decade before it's ready to go to the marketplace, at least in the electronics and photonics. And I'm wondering, Yun, you talked about using artificial intelligence, and I know there's development in universities of robotics platforms to really accelerate, to have a rapid evaluation of materials, so that you can pick, what might actually suit your purpose. And are these types of, you mentioned that you use AI and that's accelerated some of your developments. I'm wondering whether others are using tools like that to get to the right formulation, for example, more quickly.
There may be other AI platforms out there for formulation. I think that I'm not in the field, and now we're in a position that we're looking for companies like that to work with. Our AI technology will allow us to quickly
Oops, I think we've lost Yun. Sushanta, you had a comment. Maybe when Yun comes back, he can finish his thought.
Thanks, Barry. So I think now there is a lot of emphasis these days in terms of looking at combination chemistry and using AI. So it reduces the number of experiments that we do typically in a lab to get into a new material discovery. So that is picking up. And in the context of microfluidic system, particularly in terms of using, Y-junction microfluidic devices to create new chemical reactants and so forth, this is also becoming more predominant these days to use some of the machine learning based processes to really pinpoint a very subset of typical experiments that we have to do in a large number of data sets. So having said that, of course, the challenges in this kind of system is how big the data set is which you are training, and that is often, and how reliable that data set is. That is definitely something people are also looking at.
Yun, we lost you for a moment. Did you want to finish your thought? Oh, I think we have a problem again.
yeah,
okay, go ahead.
Okay, can you hear me? Can you?
It's choppy.
Uh-oh.
Okay, so let me go to a question that we have in the question and answer tab, which is for companies using non-natural, for example, manufactured products and delivery systems that involve in vivo usages, have they undergone testing for acute and chronic side effects? So really the, safety of the technology. Any comments on that question?
Correct. The ingredients that we mined, it is from cannabis, and cannabis has been used for more than 4,000 years. And the safety is pretty well known. However, that in general, the belief is that, natural compounds are not that effective. Individually, that is true. But when you put them in combination, two things that we discovered. The first one is that they are more efficacious if you put them right. And the second is that actually the side effects is becoming lower, although individually the compounds are already quite safe. So that's why we are excited about using this particular approach for drug discovery.
Okay, excellent. There is a question, especially for Stefan, does being nano present additional barriers in terms of regulatory approvals?
It does to a certain extent. I mean, you still have to go through the very similar acute chronic toxicity studies. I would say the issue with the nano is what is the nano? So what is the size of the nanoparticle? What are the zeta potential, the charges on the nanoparticles? Is it decorated with something else? Is it conjugated or not? What's the cargo? What are the charges of the cargo? Because if you're developing something for small molecules or for antibodies, formulation will be different. And the route of administration also has to be considered. So something that may be safe for oral delivery might not be safe for intracranial delivery, where you make a poke in the brain, in the skull, and then you deliver it directly. If you're doing something intranasal, again, it will be different. So you have to ask yourself at debating, again, what is the product? What is the route of administration? And then develop all of your talks first. All of the talks has to be done first. Because if you realize that, let's say over 150 nanometer, you're not making it to the brain, well, there's no point, or unless you change your route of administration. If you're looking at liver targeting, so for us, we develop different formulations for pulmonary, for liver targeting, extrahepatic, so outside of the liver targeting, and the size of the nanoparticle also will have an impact for what you're targeting. So there's a lot of things to consider, but I would say always start with your end product, the preferred route of administration. Always consider different routes so that you have alternatives and backups. But overall, those are all obstacles that you can circumvent or go over if you're taking the right CMC approach.
Merci, Stéphane. I have a question from Michel and possibly Sushanta, because you're in the academic environment, and Monique as well. So in having that translation from the academic laboratories into the marketplace, we've heard, at least in the past, about the different perspectives on intellectual property, and sharing that intellectual property, giving licenses and so on. Is that still a barrier when you're doing a translation from the university environment to a company? Is it easier if you use the route of startups and starting your own company within a university environment? Can you touch on that a little bit?
Maybe I can quickly comment.
Okay.
So University of Waterloo has a very different IP, intellectual property model, because it's inventor-owned intellectual property. So whatever my student does, everything belongs to us as intellectual property. So it's a very different model, and we are able to successfully create startups. I think the challenge is this kind of progressive model has not been picked up by our granting agencies and funding within the federal government, and provincial government, because if me as an investigator has to access fund for my own company startup, it is not possible. Then we have to create someone who will supervise, and of course, these kind of things will never work because it is your IP, you cannot share with someone else and so forth. So I think the barrier of this kind of process is our granting agencies has not be at pace with the things that faculty members are also can have an entrepreneurial heart. And in general, if you think as university professors are by nature, we are entrepreneurial because we don't have any so-called set agenda. We set our agenda of research directions, and we pick up grants and build our research ecosystem. So I think more our funding agencies are in tune of that entrepreneurial spirit. That will also help and create more innovation and deep tech, particularly within the Canada, which it's lacking in a big way from the university's standpoint.
I think I will go in the same direction that my colleague that just spoke. The intellectual properties probably at Polytechnic also, it's kind of difficult. I mean, it has to be discussed quite in detail, and university is taking a good part of it, and I'm doing that right now. It is complicated. Also, that what my colleague has mentioned, I mean, like the funds that are coming from government, if we have the company and we say that, I mean, that we have a collaboration with the company to make like a collaborative project, if we are in this company, I mean, it really cuts the possibility of getting federal funds, I mean, to have research in the lab. So there are two aspects of limitation, and I can add up another one, which is we were doing medical device. This is what we do, and medical device is not something that you develop. You need to develop this in quite a long time. It's a long journey compared to some other types of devices that you can fabricate and then you can put on the market sometime quite quickly. A medical device is not like that. This is what I developed, medical devices, and probably drugs also, it's probably the same thing. So it's a long journey. So we have many barriers actually for that. I'm going through that with the startup company that we have right now. And so I'm looking for advice actually with people, people to see how we start. We were talking about scale up before, but scale up from 0 to something. This is the bigger scale up to do. It's to start. And how do you do that without, I don't know, you need VC money or at this point, or probably, I don't know, some non-diluting money, but at some point, I mean, if you're completely diluted, you lose the interest of putting the company forward. Anyway, I mean, a lot of barriers, I think, for a really small startup. This is what we are doing right now.
Merci, Michel. So, Monique, I'm going to turn to you. I know that you work closely with universities for your products, but obviously in your presentation, you've also used the testing services from Mount Sinai and at Western. Was it easy for you to identify where to go? Or was that quite a journey in itself?
Well, when this company started, we were in basically material science. We were focused on making materials better, stronger, electrically conductive, that sort of thing. And it's after COVID hit that we went into health sciences. And we had a few PhDs that we were working with at University of British Columbia. And we had asked them, while everything was shut down, we had opened up the lab and we had asked if they could make an antimicrobial coating that could deactivate SARS-CoV-2. And so while they were doing that, we just called, I think MyTax helped us out. We're quite connected within government. We talked to the regional development agencies quite frequently. And so we definitely, it was easy. It was an easy path to find Western University's Impact Center. That's for sure. Yeah.
when we started this event today, Sam talked about funding and how PNI had benefited from federal and provincial funding and various agencies. I'm wondering, from your perspectives, is that how is your access to funding? Should the government do more? Should investors be less risk averse? What are your thoughts and pain points in getting some funding? You can just jump in.
Maybe I can start by saying we were successful in getting funding to help us grow the business, but it wasn't necessarily easy. A large amount of my role over the last number of years was to seek out funding to support our technology development. And so I gave the examples of where we were successful in Canada, but we applied for a lot of funding that wasn't successful as well. So it was a lot of learning to navigate the funding ecosystem in Canada, as well as looking at international funding, which is also a very, very complex area. So yeah, it could be a full-time job for somebody in a small company to be pursuing large amounts of technology funding.
I echo that. It is not easy to raise funds, and I was an academic before. Our company has been funded by NSERC, MITAC, and the different government agencies. And I don't know if there is a link between venture funds or investors that would coupled with these government agencies, and basically that in our process of raising funds, and lots of them will say that, hey, if you have a lead, I would be interested to join in to invest in the project. Now, the idea could be that the lead could be NSERC, could be NRC, could be whatever, particularly in the university environment. Then the scientific credibility is there, particularly for early stage companies. That might be an avenue to increase the amount of funding to startup companies or to early stage companies.
Okay. Stéphane, you had the question.
And maybe a quick note for Michelle and any researcher, maybe you should try to look at incubators. We have a number of incubators across Canada. Not only they're good for mentoring, helping you to make the right choices, especially avoiding mistakes. And often and more, they have a little bit funding available. So they could put money into your research project even before you get to the commercial or before you create your own company. So look into incubators. The other thing that you should also look at, and I hear you in terms of, I echo what you just said, usually investors say, all right, come and see me in a year or do your proof of concept and then see me, right? But the question is, okay, how do I get there? Yeah, so when I get there, I'll be able to have enough money, but how do we make it for that leap? And one thing that I've seen that works well is very based on the US system, where they formed a team. Go get advisors, build your team. In the US, they go and they have a pre-seed or a seed round for $50 million or more. The technology is not ready yet. They don't have the proof of concept just because they have the team. So go and get other advisors or people on your team, and that probably will facilitate.
See, Michel,
just to say that we are in Zentek, probably where there's a you know what is Zentek. Yeah, we are there. Yeah, it's my PhD student that has quite an interest in a lot of interest in the entrepreneurship, and she's doing that. But again, it's difficult to start when it's medtech also. It's I mean, other technologies are probably I would say easier, but anyway, I mean, I come from also microelectronics, but I mean, the nanotechnology it is complicated, but medtech is a little bit more because of all the security reason, toxicity, and so on, and also adaptation. The technology that we're talking about is for pathologists. So say you have to test it and so on, and it's a long journey, but it is interesting. So we'll continue, that's for sure. But Zentek is pretty good actually in Montreal, Quebec. And someone that comes from Polytechnique, Zentek is ATS, that's the other university. Don't repeat that to my colleague at Polytechnique.
So, you know, I wonder, is there something missing in the Canadian nanomedicine ecosystem? I mean, what do we have to build? What's, you know, what are the gaps that we need to address in the ecosystem?
Yeah, so I'll start. Is there a gap? Absolutely, yes. I have to be blunt, right? So, and a huge gap, and that is related to manufacturing. Canada lacks manufacturing. We saw what happened during COVID. So not only it's a gap, it's a huge gap. Personally, Entos would have been in the clinic like 7 months before where we were, and it would have made all the difference. And we could not because there is no manufacturing. I mean, to a scale, it is needed. Yes, there are manufacturing, but we have to do a lot, and we are working towards that. And coming back to the question which was asked last time, funding. There is always shortage of funding. Government can always do more, and they are slowly, you know, surely they are supporting more. But for a company like ours, our ideology was different. We were the bootstrap company until recently, 3 months back, when we made a deal with Eli Lilly and gave our rights for the CNS to them. We actually were committed to, you know, so to be like that bootstrap company and generate money, not, I mean, look for the fundings like, you know, support postdoc with MyTax, IRAP, ISED, and we managed to do that. But in COVID space, I have no hesitation in saying that we would have been in clinics 7 or 8 months before the time we were, had we have manufacturing facility. We basically, the same R&D team who actually invented the product had to manufacture, the product. And of course, when it happens, there is a transition required. GMP compliance is not an easy thing. CMC is not an easy thing. I must say that I was pleasantly surprised by the regulatory agency like Health Canada or FDA. And they are, I mean, and I want to put across this point, probably many of you are experienced, but I just want to put my experience in here, that sometimes we think that FDA and Health Canada are there to actually just ask questions and make the things difficult. That's not the case. They actually are there to help you out. Lipid nanoparticle, proteolipid vesicles, our technology, it's relatively new. Yes, Moderna and Pfizer has opened up the public acceptance, the regulatory acceptance, but they are still learning what kind of specification are to be put there, and they look up to us who are actually inventing and discovering this technology to help us out. So I must say that I had the best interactions with the regulatory agency, whether it is European FDA or, but I would emphasize that from the point of view of the government of Canada, I think they should be doing more. I'm pretty sure they are looking into it, and they are better than where they were before. But there is a lot to be done. If Canada wants to be self-sufficient, they need to do a lot in manufacturing, CMC, fill and finish, and all those things.
Thank you. Arash.
Yeah, being a custom manufacturer gives us a view that many people don't see. We see what's going on in the background. And what I can tell you is that in the US, there is a lot of this new genetic medicine, nanomedicine, all sorts of stuff is happening. A lot of companies who, after a couple of years, they get 50 million. And so when you look at it, who are these people? These are people having roots in heavyweights. there are so many pharma, there are so many advanced startups in sequencing, in everything. So they form these entities from previous employees and stuff like that. So they go and startup, which is way ahead of anybody who wants to start from academia or scratch. So there is tremendous amount of talent in Canada. We see so many good scientists. Unfortunately, they end up going south of the border. So what I see at the moment is we don't have that BlackBerry. We don't have that, which was back then. Unfortunately, at the moment, we have to build that sort of godfather of this sort of stuff.
Yeah, that's a very interesting comment. The role of an anchor companies, basically, right? That do a lot of hiring as well. So, and that takes me perhaps to one of the last questions, unless we have questions from the audience. But I want to talk about training and ask you about training. Recently we had a panel discussions where we heard from a bioengineer who was actually working in a biochemistry lab or immunology lab on liquid nanoparticle technologies and so on. And she was saying how her training and engineering was something that was really precious, working in nanomedicine. And I mean, do you, some of you train students, others hire highly qualified personnel. What are you looking for when you're hiring, and what would you like to see? Do you want to see people have a broad spectrum of expertise, of tools in their toolbox? Would you change how they're trained? Would you like to influence universities to train a different type of employee for you in the future?
Let me start by saying, first thing, that we have to take a moment to actually congratulate Canadian scientists, starting from Peter Cullis. This lipid nanoparticle it all started here in Canada, right? It is Peter Cullis who has given and his group, and after that, Acuitas now. So as far as innovation is concerned, as far as nanomedicine is concerned, Canada is right at the top, right? So there is no dearth, no scarcity of innovation. But as I said, innovation is the first part, and CMC in manufacturing and making it a reality, commercially viable product is completely different. And that's where I think Canada has to focus. As far as innovation is concerned, I mean, we are and we should be very proud of what Canada has given to the world through this COVID or through these nanomedicine. So what I'm trying to say is that as far as finding people are concerned, I have never ever seen any kind of scarcity to find good innovative people, starting from Waterloo, right, to Vancouver, and I would not try to ignore Alberta, right? So it's always the case of building the team and the resources to build the team. As far as innovation is concerned, I think the world knows, the nanomedicine knows that what Canada has contributed, that contribution is right at the top.
Thank you. Arash, you have a comment?
Well, to address your question about the skills of people who are looking for this industry, I mean, I can speak of our own needs, is that we are more interested in engineers or biologists or both that are they have sort of broad skills, but strong basics. It's nanomedicine, right? So basically we are looking nano engineering, medicine, biology. So we are looking for someone who has roots in both, but strong roots. Well, I'm not looking for jack of all trades, but I'm not also looking for a person that has spent 20 years doing the same thing and is proud of it, which is great for maybe some other But what I can say is that strong basics in both of these fields, people stand up. Because these days it's not really difficult to get into something new. Once there's so much information, so much paper, so much stuff that if someone just has the fundamentals, quickly in a couple of weeks can jump into something new, and I think that's employer like.
Mm-hmm. We have, I think, our last question from the audience is, I would like to ask the panel if they have good opportunities to engage the health system to really understand what innovations are needed to improve healthcare in Canada. So do you have that, do you have that opportunity to engage the health system?
I think the short answer is no. And what I would foresee as being maybe a good opportunity is to start to do like pharmaceutical companies are doing now, is to, they call that the reverse pitch. So instead of companies coming to pharmaceutical companies, pharma are coming to us and they do their pitch and what they're looking in terms of innovation. So instead of developing something and then you wonder if there is a market for, then you have the market telling you this is what we're looking. And if we can do the same in Canada with our healthcare system to understand better what are the unmet needs, I think that will drive a lot of, not only a lot of innovation, but also innovation that is being developed to meet an unmet need instead of hoping that somebody will buy it eventually, because then you have a buyer.
Mm-hmm. Any other comments? Lana, did you have any comments?
Thank you, Marie. Yeah, we are not directly now in nanomedicine too much. And the most important demand that we feel is the demand for disinfectants in hospitals. Because, and for this, we should not go for and search for this specific information. It's evident, especially because of COVID situation. And we have very, very good hopes to offer something interesting because of our silver nanoparticles, which eventually have very, very good antiviral properties. So we, the first steps that our company is making in this direction is really offering silver for these hospitals and eventually for offices, hotels, airports, I don't know, public transport, etc. Also because this is, we understood that silver is the most promising candidate to be efficient at very low concentrations and to be also efficient against the multi-drug resistant bacteria. So this is directly the way of application that we are searching for. And we know that hospitals need it. Other than that, we would like really to understand what is it is. I think it's very, very actual question, and if you could provide us with some, I don't know, but it would be very good idea to have a connection with the health system.
Okay, thank you very much. Ewan, you have the last word.
I think that a couple of years ago, that in one of our Alberta meetings, that the award winner actually was complaining, or I shouldn't say complaining, is describing a trend that is happening in Canada. That is, whatever the innovation is initiated in Canada, and it will be adopted by a country like the United States first. IP is transferred, investment come in and it goes down there. And eventually Canada, the healthcare system has to buy it back from a different country. Okay, so And it's also interesting that when we talk to, well, for that particular company, when they were talking to the Health Canada and whether a product like this with clinical trial results and the healthcare system will adopt it, so that will be reimbursed. And this is a big thing basically the answer was no. We rather buy it at a higher price back. Now that is, given that that was the pre-COVID days, this may be different now. But I think that we have to be very consciously aware of this. But the same thing with the investments as well. I think that when a company gets big, and like some of the speakers here already said that Canada is there's no shortage of intellects, but there's a shortage of money. And so the same thing that it basically is a tide moving our very capable people out of Canada into the other countries, and we have to buy it back, which is a pity, I think.
Of course. Well, I want to thank all of you, our panelists today, and for your excellent pitches as well. And we have the next generation appearing on the screen here as well. Thank you very much, and we'll continue with the program, and we will hear from two funders. So that's the next segment of our program. So thank you very much, panelists. And now it's my pleasure to introduce Christie Michelach, who's a Director of Advanced Manufacturing Development Programs at NGen. NGen is the next generation manufacturing supercluster. Christie is an engineer, and she worked in the private sector before joining NGen in 2019. Christie?
Thank you, Marie, for that introduction. And to Marie and Janice as well for inviting NGen to speak today. Really happy to be here. And I want to echo Arun's comments that never in the history of the country has it been more spotlighted how important this sector is to Canada, how important it is to look at the entire supply network to ensure that our SMEs in that network are strengthened, are strong, and to look for the gaps. So it's been just incredibly enlightening to me today to hear the conversations, and taking down tons of notes. So thank you for that opportunity. But today I'd like to tell you a little bit about NGen and how it came to be that we funded the new platform under Nanomedicine Canada, and why we saw that as such a great opportunity for the sector. So a bit about us. We are a not-for-profit organization. We're based out of Hamilton, Ontario, but we have a national mandate. And of course, we have a mandate from the federal government to lead the advanced manufacturing supercluster. To date, the cluster has over 4,600 members. They come from all walks of life within the ecosystem. So we have individuals and we have companies, innovation networks, researchers, IP experts, technology providers, etc. So if you're not already a member, please come and join. It's free, and you can sign up either as a company or as an individual. And that will give you access to our newsletter where you can learn about our programs, our funding opportunities, etc. I do want to mention we don't have our traditional grant funding available at the moment. However, we have had great success with our last round of funding and are looking forward to being refunded, hopefully in April, with funds available to you later this year. I do want to mention as well that we have organizations within our network, such as Nanomedicine Canada and Nano Canada. And so we see our role to not only connect individuals and companies, but also to connect the larger ecosystem innovation hubs and networks. So whether in our role of running the supercluster or in our own not-for-profit work, NGen has set out 4 major mandates. The first one is to promote Canada's advanced manufacturing capabilities, both within Canada and around the world through our international partnerships. As you have probably all experienced, we tend to think of Germany, Japan, and the United States when we're looking for technology solutions, and we really forget that they already exist in our own backyard. So this platform will go a long way to helping with that. We also fund collaborative industry-led advanced manufacturing projects that have the potential to create unique competitive advantages for our ecosystem. So again, currently our funding is closed, but we do look forward to being refunded. And you can start to think right now about a collaborative advanced manufacturing project that you may want to take on. And feel free to contact me if you want to bounce around some ideas. And just so you can start to think about it, the way we framed our projects last year, or in our last round of funding, we had a reimbursable grant running from $75,000 all the way up to $20 million projects reimbursed at 44%. So the requirements and the complexities of those projects scaled as the value went up. But again, all projects had to be collaborative and had to involve advanced manufacturing technology. But we also look at building capacity in the workforce, de-risking technology deployment, helping scale-ups. And a big part of this is what we do with the clusters, providing funding for them to either start new clusters or to add infrastructure to their existing networks for the benefit of its members. And this is a personal note, but I really do hope that in our next round of funding, we'll be able to further extend our value to the clusters. Finally, making connections and strengthening collaboration are extremely important to us. So we're so excited to have supported this new portal, which directly meets the mandate of the Supercluster program and will create huge opportunities for Canadians in this sector. As I mentioned, our current round of funding is closed, but the results from our first round have been astonishing, and this makes us optimistic that we will be refunded. For example, on a federal investment of $210 million, finished projects have already seen a rise of $1.65 billion in sales. So we still have a year to go in our metrics. That number is only going to go up, but right now we're already at a 40-time ROI. Our collaborative projects have created 15 new companies and project to make 18,411 jobs over the next 10 years. Our mandate was 13,500 when we signed up. So frankly, I think these numbers even astonish the supercluster. I hope you'll be able to use this collaboration network to create advanced manufacturing projects and make use of our funding when we open up again. But what does NGen consider to be advanced manufacturing? Well, it is about advanced manufacturing technologies, composites, robotics, AI, and everything that you have been talking about today. But ultimately, technology or businesses are not only based on technology. They rely on the intersection between technology, process excellence, leadership, and people. Success depends on innovative, collaborative, and a supportive ecosystem. We know that collaboration is really hard. People call us in and tell us, we've spent years developing our IP. Why would we share that with anyone else? And how do we develop the trust that's required between businesses so that we can really have collaborative conversations? We're working flat out. Does that sound familiar? Let me share a couple statistics as to why it's important to take a step back and think about who out there can help us and to come to this new platform and find the expertise here in our own backyard. A recent survey by StatsCan said that only 17% of manufacturers work collaboratively with other companies on a regular basis. If you consider, that means that we're not working with universities, we're not going outside of our four walls, and we're trying to bring all of this expertise in-house. Internal collaboration, though, is also a problem. On the second bullet on this slide, you can see 80% of manufacturers have invested in technology in the last year, or in the past 3 years. But when we talk to CEOs, only 45% of them tell us that they met their business objectives. So what does that tell us? It tells us that we're still working in our silos. We have situations where engineers are bringing technologies onto the shop floor, but it's not aligned to the ultimate strategic direction of the business. It's really critical that we bring in people with the right expertise to deploy and manage technologies in the most profitable way. This problem happens across the board in manufacturing. Very few companies have all the solutions or expertise in-house, especially in Canada, where, let's face it, we're almost entirely made up of SMEs. But we're all facing the same issues. Consider market conditions as an example. We have a pandemic, we have a war, Our baby boomers are retiring with no one to come in and replace them. And in spite of all of these challenges, our customers' demands continue to increase. However, most companies try to solve all of these issues on their own. And as a result, they're reinventing the wheel. If you're out there and you're into lean manufacturing, and I'm going to brand something right now today, I'm going to call this the 9th deadly waste, not collaborating. So even though we're not going to go out on a limb and share our IP, there are areas where we can benefit from others' expertise. And a great example of that is new advanced manufacturing technologies. With the current rate of change, companies just can't stay on top of all the information that's out there. At the same time, new technologies are unlocking new potentials for connection, for sharing information, for collaborating. More companies are partnering in flexible networks to generate solutions, to co-create value, to manage talent, to mitigate risks, and to shape rather than forecast and respond to changes in demand. This new platform is one of the best examples of a digital tool that we've seen. Now, looking at the macro level, we see collaboration as one of Canada's most strategic advantages. We can no longer compete the way we have in the past. The country that wins the race coming out of recent disruptions will be the one that builds the strongest clusters, the strongest innovation networks, and Canada can be the winner. So to conclude, this platform is so important to our country, so important to the nanomedicine sector, and we are so happy to have been able to support it. Thank you again to Nanomedicine Canada for creating the opportunity. We cannot wait to hear about the projects that come out of this platform. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Christie, for your presentation, and I can't wait to see NGen being funded again. So our second speaker is Sherry Zhao, is a Senior Account Manager with Mitacs. Sherry has a PhD in chemistry from UBC, and she worked at Genentech in San Francisco before joining Mitacs in 2014. Sherry, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Marie. Let me share my screen. Can someone please confirm that they can see my screen?
Yes, we can see it.
Great. So thank you again for having me here. It's a great pleasure to join you at the workshop. Thank you. There we go. I am speaking today from Vancouver, the traditional unceded territory of Coast Salish peoples. I'm Sherry Zhao, the BC and the Yukon team lead at Mitacs, and also the national co-lead on biomanufacturing as well. And Mitacs, as many of you have already heard of or worked with, is an independent not-for-profit organization that's founded by innovation, science, economic development, and also all the provinces and territories in Canada. We started in 1999 as a network of center of excellence for math, but have grown into supporting all sectors and all disciplines. I've been with Mitacs for 7.5 years. When I joined Mitacs, there were 120 of us, and the company has going strong even through the pandemic. Currently, we're at around 350 staff across the country. And out of the 350, 100 are business development team members located at major institutions and major cities across Canada. And over the last 23 years, we have had the pleasure to work with more than 6,000 company partners and in collaboration with more than 100 post-secondary partners in Canada. And as I was hearing through the workshop, and what I'm hearing quite loud and clear is insufficient budget, and the difficulty of fundraising does hold company back from innovating. And as we all know, innovation is really the key to set a company apart to tackle the challenges head on, to set you apart in the competition. And also what we have also heard at Mitacs over the years from companies is that When there is a budget, there may or may not be sufficient expertise right away, or the investment into facilities and capital equipment could also be another challenging factor for companies to innovate. And that's why when Mitacs can provide the funding support into the community, we kept those 3 challenges in mind to really help you to solve the business challenges with solutions by tapping into the brightest and brilliant post-secondary institution expertise and talent. So what do we do? As I mentioned, there are more than 100 business developers across the country, very heavily embedded with post-secondary institutions, universities, colleges, and polytechnics in Canada. We understand what the professors are working on, what their interest, what their engagement level might be. And also our international partnerships team have been working really hard to signing agreements with different partner countries where we can also tap into their talent pipeline. For example, we have supported companies in quantum computing by bringing talent from UK, from France, from Ukraine, and really looking forward to support the biomanufacturing side as well by bringing more talent from the partner countries. And also by linking with academics through Mitacs programming, companies can also adapt or can also tap into the talent pool across disciplines, and also making use of the facilities that's already being heavily invested in the higher ed sector. And I would also get into a little bit detail about the financial support that Mitacs provides. Throughout the pandemic, we were able to secure another 5-year contract with our federal funders, started last year. And you might remember that PM Trudeau was announcing the support really back in 2020 and again in 2021 in the recovery budget. So there has been quite abundant funding flowing at Mitacs to give back to the economy. And we have already put in enhanced leveraging measures, which I'll also talk about later at the presentation. So really, what do we do and how do we do it? We always start from the business reality. And I think that could be something really, if there's one thing you can take away today, is we start from your reality. We start from where you are, where you'd like to be, where the gap you see, and what keeps you up at night. And the business development team will sit down with you, invest time with you to help you scope out what could be what does success look like from the collaboration, and scope out the timeline and the projects. And the business development team would help you identify the right expertise to address those challenges. Through such collaboration, students, postdocs will be able to get mobilized working on your business challenge, getting to know you, and you also can test drive them. So you not only solve your immediate R&D challenges, but also you are building up a pipeline for talent who would later be able to join your company seamlessly. And needless to say, to help you de-risk this collaboration, we will cover the cost to at least 50%. And we do work with companies at all stages, whether you are a new startup or you're quite established. If you want to work on a new product or improve the existing processes, we have a solution for you. You can also, with our new programming that's in addition to the bread and butter accelerate program that we offer, we can also provide more support into commercialization as well. And like I mentioned, we've been around for 23 years. So we have done some surveys and research on the outcomes that we have been able to deliver into the economy. Most of the companies who surveyed said they would recommend the programs to really help them address their challenges. And about half of them engaged in new collaborations even after the project has been finished, have completed, which means, which to us, it really means that that this collaboration has fostered a strong relationship for companies to be able to work with the right match, right academics. And also about a third of the students who have worked on the projects became the full-time employee after their graduation. So building up a talent pipeline through this collaboration is proven to be working. So, so how is the money working, right? At the end of the day, money is king, and we are talking about capitals quite a lot here. So we actually break down the projects into 4 months internship unit, make it really modular and scalable. It could be a multi-year projects with multiple students, but 1 unit is 1 student, 4 months, 1 professor. You use that building block to build the structure that you like to be. It could be multidisciplinary, it could be multi-university, it could even be multi-country, like I mentioned, from the international partner countries. We will finance about 50% of the project, and sometimes a little bit higher if it's a bigger, longer term project. And the students, when they are working with you, they will spend a lot of time on your site and to get your supervision, and also getting the supervision from their graduate supervisors to mobilize the knowledge into your development pipeline. So that's R&D program that we support through Accelerate, which has been run for more than 20 years. And also as a response to the pandemic, and also as a response to what we've heard from you is to really be able to run a successful venture. Is not only the R&D that sets you apart, but also the commercialization, the supporting activities towards the innovation. So we piloted business strategy internships in 2020, and last year we were able to bring it back as a permanent program as well. So if I were to describe it in 1 sentence, Accelerate program from Mitacs will support you through R&D, and BSI Business Strategy Internship was supporting all the supporting activities towards your R&D. So now you have a full package that helps you to drive your innovation to commercialization. And the funding structure and the eligibility are the same. So that would make it really easy when you are planning out your activities. No need to worry about the details. Leave the as long as you can differentiate between R&D and non-R&D activities. A quick summary, and with the programs I talked about, is always a triangular partnership: the industry, the companies, the professors, and the students who would work together on the innovation challenge. And in this collaboration, funding flows, we add our funding, and also the knowledge flows as well. So that make it really sustainable down the road to continue on and for continuous improvement as well. I did mention that we had received generous support from the federal funders. And what we are doing with the additional funding that we've received, 708 million, is to provide enhanced leveraging for small to medium enterprises. So if the company or not-for-profit is under 500 employees, we are able to provide a 3-to-1 matching. So instead of the normal 50-50 split, we would provide a 75-25 split to really help you really recover from the shock of the pandemic and really drive your innovation forward. And if you are an Indigenous owned company, or you are working with Indigenous students, the 3-to-1 matching would go on for the next 5 years, while for the SME specific enhanced leveraging, we will run till the funding is out, and then we will switch back to 50-50 split. I do want to mention that at Mitacs, because the structure and the contract that we have with our funders, we do accept applications at any time. So let's just fit our application into your timeline. And the approval rate has been really high. And I think many of you are used to the very competitive funding competitions. But at Mitacs, it is not a competition. We basically review the project to make sure that they are high quality and there is innovative components in it, and then we will fund it. The approval rate has been around 95% over the years. Like I mentioned, I've been with Mitacs for 7.5 years. So far, I've only seen 1 project being declined. So we are here to work with you to structure it in a way that it will get approved. And when the projects are being reviewed, most likely they will get approved. But if there are revisions that the experts are requiring, I think most of the companies and also academics see that as a way to strengthen the collaboration rather than being a hindrance towards innovation. So with that, I'd like to thank again to our funding partners, the Government Canada, all the provinces, and also the territories. And thank you again for having me here. Looking forward to working with you and supporting your ventures.
Thank you very much, Sherry. Thank you for being part of the program today. I'd like to conclude this event with an opportunity and also a call to action. So I want to invite you to participate in our first international conference, which will be From Earth to Space. It's a Nano Canada's international conference with a number of partners, and it's in person in Edmonton from June 8th to June 10th. 3 very exciting days, and I'd like to point out that the first day is dedicated to health and nanomedicine, and then the concept of the conference is to highlight how advanced materials, nanotechnologies, deep tech in general, really contribute to innovations across all applications. And so we're looking at health and nanomedicine, sustainability, and the future and beyond, and those technologies like quantum technologies, the future of transport, and so on, that are enabled by advanced materials and nano. So please, the registration is open, and we look forward to seeing you in Edmonton in the month of June, when the days are really long and glorious. And finally, the call to action for our event today is please sign up for the Deep Tech network. You've seen that it's all about collaborations, and that's exactly what this tool will do for you. Become a member of Nanomedicine Canada. It's free till March 31st, 2023. And if you're interested in supporting our activities regarding the conference From Earth to Space, there are a lot of opportunities for sponsoring, exhibiting. There's a technology showcase or attending, and we're accepting abstracts for contributed talks and poster talks until March the 11th. And we look forward to seeing you there. And thank you so much for being here today, our audience. Without you, this would not make any sense. But to all our speakers, panelists, thank you so much. Thank you to NGen, to Precision Nanosystems, to Mitax for helping us with this event today. And we look forward to seeing you on the Deep Tech network and in Edmonton possibly. And again, Sam, thank you so much.